Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake and welcome to the session for hacking YouTube and breaking through in the algorithm. I'm actually really excited about this presentation. It's going to be different than probably any other presentation you've seen. And I'm really happy about this because I'm going to do something that a lot of people don't do. In my presentation, I'm actually going to be showing you the data from my own YouTube dashboard as I explain to you what you need to know as a growing content creator. And so I think that's going to be what's really different and special about this presentation versus anything else you've seen. It's going to be extremely data heavy. And so I'm really excited about that. So let's go ahead and move forward in terms of the next slide, because this is going to be the session. We're just going to be talking about breaking through the algorithm. We're not really talking about how to go viral. We're talking about those of you who want a fighting chance in YouTube, or you're not growing anymore, you're stuck, you're stagnating, maybe you don't understand why you're making good content and it's not getting the numbers that you think it deserves. I'm also going to reveal to you some YouTube myths. A lot of you, you're very focused on subscribers, and I have to, before we even get into the presentation, break down a myth for you that I'm going to show you with data. Subscribers don't work the way that you think they do and the way that the YouTube culture thinks they do. Your views are not going to be coming majority from your subscribers, regardless of what channel type you have. If you're not already an established YouTuber and a household name, you cannot rely on the idea that your videos will reach your subscribers. The YouTube algorithm has changed in a way to where it's not subscriber focused in terms of how videos get delivered. We're going to talk about that. And I'm also going to walk you through the things that YouTube really is caring about and stressing about. And you'll be able to see this in your own dashboard analytics. When I say this, it's all going to make sense to you. I designed this entire presentation for that YouTuber that's trying to get through and get their first 1,000 subscribers, the first 10,000 subscribers, and that YouTuber that is at 50 or 100,000 subscribers that doesn't know why they can't seem to push and grow anymore like they used to. So that's what I have for you guys. And let's go ahead and go to the next one. So this is the session breakdown. I'm not going to give you any fluff. I'm going to give you a very brief intro on me so you can understand why is this dude who doesn't have 1 million subscribers talking to me about how to grow on YouTube? Like, why isn't he a viral YouTuber? I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. We're not going to go super deep into my YouTube journey. You could watch my channel if you care about that. We're going to talk about what matters to YouTube specifically. We're going to talk about click-through rates. We're going to talk about retention rates. We're going to talk about repeat viewing patterns. I'm going to show you the actual things that I do that allows me to get high CPM videos. I get over $20 CPM rates. The average YouTuber gets $2 to $5. I'm getting 20. I'll tell you how I do that. And we're going to talk about how to read your analytics properly. We're going to try to leave plenty of time for Q&A for your questions. So I'm really excited about that. And so brief intro. My name is Roberto Blake. I am a creative entrepreneur on YouTube. So my videos on YouTube really help people with making money online, how to market themselves, whether they're a business, whether they're trying to get clients for their career, or whether they're trying to grow as a content creator. So basically, I tell you how to make things, how to market yourself, and then how to make money on them. And that's what I basically do. I've done over 1,400 videos on YouTube. I've been on the platform actively for about 7 years now. So I've done 1,400 plus videos. I've done hundreds of collaborations. I've helped grow so many content creators. I was early to mobile live streaming across platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Twitter, and several dead live streaming platforms. I'm on Twitch now. So I've done over 2,000 live streams. I have a community of over 400,000 YouTube subscribers. I've gotten over 30 million lifetime video views. My accomplishments in social media, online business, and marketing have got me featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Black Enterprise. I'm very proud of that. And I've gotten to work as a content creator, influencer, and a consultant with top tier brands like Adobe, Samsung, Google, and PayPal, and it's been fantastic. And I can tell you that being a content creator has been the experience of a lifetime for me. So that was your brief intro on me. So if you know, that's about me. Let's talk about you. What does YouTube want from you as a content creator? YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, and it's owned by Mama Google, mama and child. Okay. YouTube's the baby boy, Google's the mama. And these are the two most powerful search engines in the world. They are global platforms. YouTube has 2 billion logged in users every single month, plenty of people using it every single day that aren't logged in. It's absurd that this thing is this powerful and that we have access to it for free. That being said, here's what YouTube as a platform and as a company wants from you as a content creator. And when you understand this, you start to realize the algorithm isn't your enemy. The algorithm isn't there to hurt you or hold you back as a creator. It's there to help a viewer get what they want. And your job as a content creator is to be on board with that. All right. So you got to make it about putting your viewers first. And yes, you got to do stuff you like. But if nobody else is wanting that, needing that, then you can't be expected that you don't have a cheering section, my friend. You cannot be surprised that if you're not giving people what they want, they're not giving you what you want. All right. Let's just be very clear about that. YouTube wants to increase traffic on YouTube. Any website, any business needs to increase its traffic. You make your ad revenue as a content creator if you're monetized because you drive traffic to your videos on YouTube. YouTube makes its money the same way. So obviously, YouTube's goal and priority is get more people onto youtube.com and keeping them there exclusively, not giving those views after you've got them to your own website, your merchandise, your Twitch, your Instagram, the things that you might want to grow. YouTube wants to keep people on YouTube, watching videos, consuming ads, helping YouTube earn money. The same thing. You want to grow on YouTube? That's going to be important, not driving traffic off platform. We'll talk about it. Okay. I'm not against those things, but if you want to grow, YouTube would have to become a priority. That may not work for your business model. You may not make enough on YouTube to justify that. Happy to take questions about the money side at the end. I'd love it if almost every question at the end of this is about YouTube money. The keeping people's on the platform exclusively is very important. Giving viewers videos they will watch. YouTube is trying to predict what I as a viewer, what you as a viewer will consume. It's not trying to find an audience for the content creator. It's trying to supply videos to the viewer. Once you wrap your head around that, your entire YouTube journey changes. YouTube obviously wants to earn more advertising revenue. Content that is detrimental to that mission, you cannot be surprised if that content isn't doing as well in the platform, if it's not helping achieve the goal of keeping the platform alive financially. So that's where I'll kind of go in that direction as far as talking about that. And keeping viewers from leaving YouTube. If people leave YouTube, if a session dies on a video, you cannot be shocked that it's not helping YouTube so that that video is not being served more if it's not accomplishing the mission of helping YouTube achieve what it wants. So what does YouTube want from content creators? It's pretty simple. Get people on the platform, keep them on the platform, keep them watching videos, and help YouTube make money. Very simple things. Those are the lines you have to color within. Those are the guardrails. If you're doing that, YouTube will take care of the rest. I swear. That's how it works. So let's move forward. I'm going to do something that most content creators don't do and are very reluctant to do. And I do this on my YouTube channel. It's why, even though I'm not strictly a YouTube advice channel, I want to make that very clear. I actually, in many ways, because I have a business outside of YouTube, I don't play by the rules I would need to play to grow my channel more and to millions of subscribers and to constantly get 100,000 views per video, because those are not the goals of my business. And the way I do YouTube is the way that somebody that, if you had a YouTube channel where, let's say you do YouTube part-time because you're a student. Let's say you do YouTube part-time because you have a family, you have a lot of kids. Let's say you have a career, a full-time job with a good salary, or let's say you have your own business, you have your family business. I run my YouTube channel the same way as a normal person versus the way a YouTuber runs their YouTube channel. A YouTuber dedicates 40 to 60 hours a week to YouTube. And when they finally grow their team and hire people, between them and their team, the YouTubers that you look up to the most, they're spending anywhere from 50 hours of their time to 150 to 100 hours of their team's time dedicated to the content you're watching. You may not be able to do that. I have a full-time business and several online business ventures, and I also am a dad to two dogs, two wonderful dogs, Tugboat and Rio. So I'm not dedicating 40 to 60 hours a week to YouTube. I'm doing it the way that the average content creator, the working class content creator, probably runs their YouTube channel. And so when I show you guys this data, this is something that I believe is achievable and realistic. And it's my actual data from the YouTube channel that you guys watch with me whenever you're subscribed or you're viewing those videos or you're searching for them. I show you this stuff in my YouTube channel. I show it in my presentations. I am as transparent as I am allowed to be business-wise with everything that I do, you know, because there's certain things that obviously you want to tighten up just a little bit, but I'm as transparent as is reasonable, maybe a little more than is reasonable. And so I show you everything. And I'm going to tell you how this is achieved and the process that I use. And I'm going to show you what numbers you need to be hitting in order to successfully grow your channel and how to measure that with YouTube analytics and how to look at it and find your pattern in the algorithm. All right. So let's move forward here. You've got a quick little sampling of my data. Let's move on to the next slide. And are we stuck? Are we having a technical issue on the slides? And if we are, like, just bear with me for a second. There we go. There we go. So you might recognize this creator. This is Jarvis Johnson. He's one of my favorite content creators. And he's somebody that I think represents the first hurdle that you have to achieve in order to be successful on YouTube, which is you have to get the click. The click determines how many views you get. Without a higher click-through rate, you're not going to get the views that you want. And there are some key barriers to most people getting a high click-through rate on YouTube. And we're going to define what a good click-through rate might look like for you and how to measure that. And it's going to change based on the growth of your channel, because there's a difference between the click-through rate for a small YouTuber versus a growing medium-sized YouTuber versus a larger channel. And so what determines click-through rate? The viewer's interest in the topic. Everything we talk about is going to be viewer-centric. Everything is going to have a viewer focus because nothing happens without the viewer. We have to put the viewer first. So what is the topic? If there's not a lot of interest in the topic, or the topic isn't powerful enough to cut through the noise of whatever's happening in the world right now, whatever chaos, whatever drama there is in the world, you have to have a topic that's compelling enough for enough people to be interested in that topic to say, okay, I'm going to pay attention to that right now. You need a compelling title. Titles are the things that people struggle with the most, but that title is going to qualify whether or not this video applies to me, appeals to me, relates to me in any meaningful way. Then you need a thumbnail. You need a thumbnail. 80% of traffic on YouTube is mobile traffic. You need a thumbnail that makes people stop scrolling in their phone and pay attention to what you're doing. So that has to happen. Then, and it needs to be emotionally driven. We are creatures of emotion. We make our excuses and rationalizations for it afterward, but we make our decisions purely based on our emotions. If you can master that in your thumbnail, it's going to be very powerful for you. Timing and relevancy. What is happening right this moment that has people's attention that you can take advantage of versus trying to fight for their attention with, okay? That's going to be a huge thing. Most of the big YouTubers that you watch, and also YouTubers who seem to come out of nowhere, or YouTubers who go viral or anything, guess what? You and I both know you can reduce that down to timing. They had the right topic at the right time to get in on, and they had a good enough title and a good enough thumbnail to make that work. Okay? So that is huge, being able to combine these things in the right way. And then finally, target viewer psychology, which I probably should have put at the top, but I want to get through the things you'd understand. Target viewer psychology is complex, and this is why, even if you think you're doing these things right, you could be doing them in an ineffective way. Stop thinking about right, wrong, good, bad. Think about scale of 1 to 5. Is this doing it for me? Okay. And is it doing it, more importantly, for the viewer? So if you look at your thumbnails, it's not about a good or a bad thumbnail. It's about, is this thumbnail a 5 out of 5? Or is this thumbnail a 2 out of 5? Is this the best thumbnail out of all of the most viewed videos that rank in YouTube search for this topic or this thing? Is this thumbnail the best of the best with honors among those thumbnails that are crushing it right now? Because if the answer is no, make it again. There's no point in making a good video with a poor thumbnail that misleads the viewer and says, you know what, that's a trash thumbnail. I guess that's a trash video. Don't do it. If you're going to spend 8, 12, 20 hours on a video, you should at least spend some time crafting a thumbnail that makes it clear that that effort is reflected in the video. All right. That's going to matter to a viewer. They have nothing else to go off of. They have no idea what quality content is. They know something's a trash thumbnail or not. They have no idea. They know that title matters to me or it doesn't. They know that that thumbnail, that topic, they know that those things are either doing it for them or they're not. If you cannot get someone to click on your video, you can't get them to watch. You get no average view duration. You get no watch time to get monetized, and you don't get a subscriber. You cannot accomplish any of your YouTube goals if you cannot get them to click on your videos. So let's move on real quickly to some examples of exactly what I'm talking about here. And also have something I want you to, I want to share an idea with you that's going to be very powerful going forward. So let's go to the next slide. And then we'll look at examples of thumbnails real quick. And I'll talk about what they do well. So next slide, please. This is one of the most powerful ideas that can change your YouTube journey. Don't worry about being relevant. Become undeniable and then inevitable. So what I mean by that is make content at every single level that is too good to be ignored, and then go deep and make sure that if they care about that topic, if they care about that thing at all, that you're always in their face and you keep showing up and they cannot avoid you. That if they care about that, they're going to find you eventually. And when they do, your work will represent itself and it'll be too good to ignore. It'll be too good not to talk about. Okay. So you have to become undeniable, as in be too good to ignore. And you have to be inevitable in the sense that you are unavoidable. On a long enough timeline, if they care about this thing, they will end up running into you at some point. All right. And I'll talk about what that looks like in a realistic way here in a second. And I'll show you some content creators that I think actually accomplish a lot of this. So let's go to the next slide and we're going to look at some thumbnails. This is Jarvis Johnson. This is one of my favorite content creators and he's brilliant. If you care about internet culture at all, you'll inevitably run into one of his videos. And when you do, you will enjoy the hell out of it. You'll like his personality. You'll have one of two extreme reactions. You'll love Jarvis or you'll hate him. There's no in between. And that has worked. And he grew his channel very rapidly. He's well over 1 million subscribers. He puts out banger videos. He was a software engineer before he was a content creator. He's someone that I constantly love talking to about the YouTube algorithm. We share a lot of information and insights, and I'm very impressed with how he's been able to use his knowledge and experience as an engineer and as a programmer and how these systems work, then use his personality and bring that to YouTube in an effective way. And when you look at these thumbnails are massively compelling. But I also want you to pay close attention to the fact that the video views are not consistent, just like I said, because it depends entirely on the topic and the timing, and then title and thumbnail. And so that's very important. But what Jarvis gets is the psychology of exactly who his viewing audience is, and that works for him. Let's look at another fast-growing YouTuber, someone you may not have heard of, Graham Stephan. One of my favorite YouTubers. Graham's over 2 million in the last 18 months. He grew most of that in the last 18 months. I remember watching Graham when he had 20,000 subscribers and was struggling to not be awkward on camera. This is someone who 3 years ago said they did not have a personality for YouTube. What a difference 2 or 3 years can make, right? And so Graham does money-making, financial advice, real estate videos. He is an entrepreneur. He is a real millionaire. And he tells his story and everything he learned along the way and shares the advice for free on his YouTube videos. And he is crushing it. And the thing I like is Graham's thumbnails are very simple, but they're very effective. They're very effective. They're easy to read on a mobile device. Remember what I said about your phone? 80% of YouTube traffic. So he makes it so you can absolutely read this on a phone. He also uses an expression that relates to it. He uses symbols like the dollar signs and the money. He makes it practical for you to say, I know what this video is about. I know what I'm going to get. I know what to expect from it. All right. And that's why Graham works and why he gets the clicks, and he's killing it right now. This next creator, you're going to know exactly who this is. And funny enough story, I've loved talking to MrBeast, and he was at Vid Summit last year. Like, he actually has become a partner in it. He's obviously one of the smartest, if not the smartest person currently on YouTube. He absolutely knows what he's talking about with the algorithm. I've literally watched every single interview with MrBeast. I've asked him at least a dozen questions myself, and I can tell you that he's the embodiment of every tactic that I'm talking about, but he also is the embodiment of hard work and why you cannot do this overnight, because it's not an accident that he blew up. He kept trying and experimenting and working really hard at understanding everything and crafting everything. And there was a point where he was doing a lot of things that he will tell you were his experimental phase, and he was having fun with it instead of trying to grow as hard as he can. And I think it's important to understand that. And so MrBeast, Jimmy Donaldson, is the most probably relevant content creator of our age. But funny story, 5 years ago, he had 8,000 subscribers. Imagine that. Remember, he was a YouTuber, a small YouTuber that nobody watched for like 7 years before he quote unquote blew up. And it wasn't an accident. He was trying to figure out what would work. And when he found out what would work, he made it over and over again. He would experiment a little more. And when he figured out what worked the best, he'd add it to the formula, and so on and so forth. He has been at this for a decade to figure it out. 5 years ago, 8,000 subscribers. He's at what, 35 million right now? Hard work. And not everyone will produce those results, and you don't need to. Jimmy is obsessed with YouTube. And I mean that. I mean that between him and his friends, they put literally 200 to 300 hours minimum into every piece of content you have seen for the last year from them. Okay? You do not have to take it that far, but I do want you to understand what YouTube could look like, and that you need to figure out if you're not going to or not capable of going to that extreme. It's all right. Me neither. So let's pull it back, though, and figure out what lessons we can learn here. And then finally, one of my favorite creators, MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee. For those of you who are not yourself a personality-driven creator, you have a topic like tech, or you cover products, electronics, beauty. This is a primary example of how to showcase the thing that you love and bring people in that also love that thing as much as you. And in the case of tech, very scalable, because there are a lot of people. We all buy the new phones whenever they come out. This works perfectly. So now you have an understanding of some of what I was talking about. Let's get into the click-through rate on a recent video of mine that I posted, I believe, last week. So this video did very well for me overall. It got 32,000 views, and I got it up within 24 hours of the news around TikTok. And initially, I got a 7.4% click-through rate, which is actually really strong. I'm going to tell you the numbers you need to be hitting in terms of click-through rate. But if you're struggling with your views right now, one of the things I can absolutely tell you is that if you're struggling for views and you make getting a higher click-through rate your number one priority, and you make getting a higher click-through rate early in the life cycle of the video, this is very important. Early in the life cycle of the video. I'm talking the first hour you upload it, getting as many people to click on it as possible that first hour up to the first day. I'm dead serious about how much this matters. Getting that initial click-through rate as high as possible increases the distribution of the video and helps YouTube identify the users that would watch this video. And it makes sure that those viewers are seeing it, that video, and having the opportunity to click. So when you say YouTube isn't promoting or pushing your videos, you have to understand that it may not be pushing it to the right people or the right audience. I built my audience over 7 years. I'm going to talk to you about view to subscriber ratios and why They are the most trash metric in YouTube, and it has more to do with YouTube viewers, people watching videos, thinking that that's a good metric before they become content creators. Actual content creators know that is the most trash metric. And the longer you're on YouTube, there's a thing called churn rate. We don't get this in analytics. We're lobbying to get this into the analytics dashboard. But churn rate is important because the longer you're on YouTube, it may not be about people not being interested in you or you not making good content. It literally could be that they just don't watch YouTube as much anymore as they age out of things, grow older, have less time, get interested in other things, have families, so on and so forth. So your subscribers outside of your notification squad are not necessarily going to be the people who get your videos. You have to fight for people on the YouTube homepage to get your videos. And what I managed to accomplish with this video is that even if you did not know who I am, you would watch this video if you care about TikTok. You have to go to where the viewer is, and you have to care about what they care about. They have to be able to watch a video without knowing who you are or caring. You build loyalty and subscriber rituals into the content itself, but you have to get somebody to click on the video in the first place without caring about you. And that's very difficult to do. And I wish more content creators would explain how hard it is just to get somebody to click without having to care about you first. So let's look at those click-through rates you need to hit, and let's figure out what a good click-through rate is. Target click-through rates as a baseline. You need to look at 4% to say, all right, that's okay. It wasn't so bad. 8% would be, okay, that was pretty good. 12% would be, I killed it. I nailed it. I'm crushing it. This is going to do very well. Now, this is a generalization, and that's why I call it a baseline. Your mileage may vary on this. Depending on how big your audience is, this number can shift. You might be a smaller YouTuber that has an initially loyal fan base that does show up for every video, or you're breaking into your topic category, and these click-through rates may be higher. What I'm telling you to do is look at videos that have these different click-through rates and then measure how they performed and compare them to each other. And what I am going to tell you is I'm going to tell you something MrBeast told me a little bit later in the presentation here, is that click-through rate plus average view duration being as high as possible is what will do it for a video. A high click-through rate will help, but if it's a high click-through rate and a trash average view duration, it's not going to do nearly as well as a more modest click-through rate with a high average view duration, or vice versa. So it's a combination of these things, and you have to analyze the data. I'm really hoping that the thunderstorm does not knock out our presentation and our power here. So let's go ahead and move along. Let's go to the next slide. So I brought up average view duration and retention rates, and this is something really important. In order to accomplish a better version of that, there are a couple of key things you have to do. Graham Stephan does this very well. MrBeast does this very well. Most people over 1 million subscribers do this very well. You have to avoid drop-off time at the very beginning of the video. This is very important. That first 30 to 60 seconds determines so much of your video. You have no idea. You have no idea. Measuring that first 30 to 60 seconds, crafting that to perfection, I'm telling you, if 80% of your effort went into the first 60 seconds of your YouTube video, your video will do better. If 80% of your effort is making the first 60 seconds as cool as possible, as good of an experience as possible for the viewer, your video will perform better. The way I do that on information-based videos is I set up a reason to watch the video. I try to break things up with some B-roll every couple of seconds, and I try to tease some compelling element and then make sure that I'm delivering on it halfway through the video, so I don't make them think they have to watch too long, and then I can get them hyped again and then carry them through to the rest of the video. I also am using the new chapters feature because, one, this shows another level of effort, and two, if you tease enough things at the beginning of the video, this may not work for all entertainment channels, but it might work for people that are doing different niches, product reviews, tech, top 10 list, feature videos. Also, it might work for story-driven videos to do beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, and end using the chapters feature. Or if there are different people or really cool events, there's a way to tease that out. So use the new chapters feature. It really helps. Breaking up the videos with B-roll and transitions, this can work miracles for your videos if you're not getting the watch time you need for monetization, if you're not getting the retention rates you need to be high enough to be able to perform better. If you want higher average view durations, B-roll is going to be great. Sound design can do wonders for your video, good background music, and just having a good audio experience. You guys might notice that when I have kind of a streaming setup, when there's not a thunderstorm, the audio is really good. And I have all kinds of microphones, lights, and everything. I do everything to make the experience for my viewers as good as it can be. And I'm going to show you what that works out to in terms of some data, looking at the performance of two different videos in terms of retention rates. So remember what I talked about earlier with certain numbers you need to hit. I'm going to break down the numbers 35, 45, 55 and why those matter. But like when you can get 50% average view duration, that's crushing it. When you can get 7 minutes average view duration, that's crushing it. Okay. The average YouTube video across the platform gets maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds average view duration. I'm kidding you not. I'm kidding you not. And most content creators struggle to break 30%. In terms of retention rates. They struggle to break 30%. You'll notice that as long as this video is that I targeted the audience correctly, it's a video on does uploading more to YouTube grow your channel. 12 minutes, 13 minutes in, I still have 40% of the audience. And you'll notice that there's barely any hockey stick effect, that at the beginning of the video, my drop-off rate did not go very high. It's very, very gradual. That's exactly what you want. This is an ideal graph here, okay? The one thing that would really help this video absolutely crush it would be a high click-through rate on top of this. As it is, it's not doing so bad, but this is what you'd want to be shooting for. If you look right up until the very end of the video, I still have almost 40% of the entire audience. That is how you can see a video's success. Now, on the next slide, I'll show you a different video. And I want to show you relative audience retention rate, because the thing is, a lot of you need to look at how your video does and realize that you might actually be doing better than you think. So you'll toggle this to relative audience retention rate and see that you might be doing above average. Even if you aren't hitting the numbers you think you should, you might be doing better than all other videos of that same length in YouTube. And I use this to say, do I need to improve any aspect of the video? And if you look, my number is average pretty much right up until the very, very end of the video. And so even at 34%, this video still did very well. And again, I got almost 6 minutes of average view duration. So it's not that bad, especially for what the topic is. So that is a video that I feel did very strongly and represents the kind of numbers you need to hit. So next slide. High click-through rate and high average view duration to get videos to perform. And like I said, 35 is your minimum to where you can say, all right, it's okay. I may not need to make drastic changes to my video if it's at 35% retention rate. Average view duration itself may vary. Just try to improve your current average view duration by 20% if you can. And then in another 30 to 90 days, try to improve it another 20%. Me, I am shooting for an absurdly magical number of I want to get between 6 minutes and 8 minutes of average view duration on every video if I possibly can. And I set that goal for myself specific to my own content. You have to figure out what it is for you. But Jimmy Donaldson, MrBeast, told me this himself. High click-through rate and high average view duration to get videos to perform. That is the magic sauce. So let's move on to the next slide. I want to tell you real quickly 3 things that viewers care about. Is something interesting enough to make them curious, even if they've never seen it before? Is it relevant to them as an individual? Is it something that is catering to them and, you know, who they are, what groups they belong to? And is it engaging enough to keep them watching, like, and to want more? Okay. So if it's not interesting to me, I don't click on it. If I'm watching it and then I don't feel any of it speaks to me and is relevant to me, I click off. And if it's engaging to me, even if it's not that engaging to me, I might watch it all the way through, but then I might not watch any other stuff, or I might not subscribe or comment or so on and so forth. So you need it to be interesting to get the click, relevant to keep them engaged and the watch time, and then it needs to be engaging and hit them on an emotional enough level to get them to act or to commit to you. So that's important. And when we talk about quality content, no one will ever tell you what quality content is. I'm going to tell you that quality content has two faces to it. So let's go to the next slide real quick. The two faces of quality content are production and performance. Production is obvious: video quality, audio quality, editing quality. You got to nail those things, and it's got to be a good experience. And you got to make sure that it is the threshold of acceptable quality for the niche and genre and content type you're in. If you can step it up without killing yourself and without going overboard or going in debt to buy camera gear or something like that, then step it up and make the quality of the production a little better. But next slide, no amount of stepping up how nice and cool that looks makes up for if your presentation sucks. If you have no charisma, you're unclear and unfocused, and you can't build an emotional connection with the audience, I don't care how much drone footage you have. I don't care how much you decide to copy Casey Neistat. If you can't deliver on camera, you're done. No one's going to care how good it looks if you literally have no personality, you have no confidence on camera or in your voice if you're not doing a face cam. If you're unclear, scatterbrained, unfocused in your communication style, no clarity of communication, it's a bad experience. And if you cannot connect emotionally with the audience, they're out. So you have to get production right, and you have to get presentation right. Why? Tell you in the next slide here. A quality video is about the experience the viewer had when they were watching. Period. How you feel about the video you watched determines whether or not it was a quality video. The end. That's it. So again, what threshold do you need to hit? 35%, 45%, 55%. Look at videos that have those stats in terms of average view duration, and then compare how they all performed and what happened. Then I want you to go back and look at the click-through rates, and I want you to match it up for those videos. And I want you to see, how did videos that had a really good click-through rate and a really good average retention rate, how did those videos perform? What was the average view duration on those videos? Look at those metrics, those three metrics, put those things together. And if you can find a video that did 55% average retention rate and did over 5 minutes average view duration and had a click-through rate that's double digits, that's going to probably be a banger, okay? Look at your video with the most views in the last 30 or 90 days and look at those three metrics and figure out where you need to put your energy into improving to get the numbers up. So finally, let's wrap up so that we can do some Q&A with you guys real quick. Let's move to some of my final stats here to show you. Let's talk about the YouTube recommendation algorithm. So the YouTube recommendation algorithm is something that I know a lot of people salivate over and like, how can we know what the YouTube algorithm is? It's a black box. The details are a black box. If you literally had a black box, you know what we can do? We may not know what's inside the black box, but we can figure out how much it weighs. We can sit there, how much does it weigh? We can measure the length of each side of it. We can figure out its volume, its diameter. We can probably analyze its overall composition, how light reacts to it. We can learn a lot without seeing inside of that black box, you know. There's a lot to work with there. So keep that in mind. And remember what I said earlier about putting the viewer first? That's how you can figure out the algorithm. The algorithm follows the audience. Creators who know their audience don't agonize over the algorithm as much, except when it comes to demonetization. Another topic, okay? So the recommendation algorithm pays attention to someone's watch history. Why? Because what channels you're subscribed to, you don't necessarily watch. You're probably lying to yourself about, oh, I care about this. It's like, then you would watch it more. So watch history. Search history tells me, what are you doing right now? What are you interested in right now? What are you trying to figure out, okay? Your location. Your location matters. Language also, location, geography, and language localization matters. Time of day, and then how many people watched these videos through to completion, and also direct viewer feedback through the surveys that they've been doing. You've probably gotten these YouTube surveys. So in the next slide, I'm going to show you some interesting data about traffic. You need to figure out the traffic sources that best fit your content and best fit your audience. My audience is usually people 24 to 44, and then it gets older and older and older. I don't really have much traction with the Gen Z crowd because I talk about making stuff, marketing yourself, and making money. I'm 36 years old. I know I have this face. Thank you. And I'm 36 years old. I am not really appealing to teenagers unless they're hustlers and they really care about money and making money online. I have a few people that watch me for YouTube tips that are young, and they usually stop watching me the minute I tell them they have to work hard and learn stuff and that they can't get lucky and go viral. And that, you know, after 1,400 videos, I never went viral. And so once people realize how hard it is, that's my experience, is a lot of people stop trying, and that's life, that's sports. So what do I focus on? I focus a lot on search. I've learned something interesting about the suggested and recommended algorithm that dictates a lot of the traffic on YouTube. The far majority of it, based on a lot of case studies, goes to the top 3% of channels. I don't think that's a surprise to the majority of you that the bottom 97% of channels are fighting over what's left. I don't think that shocks anyone here. So what do? I focus on how does my ideal viewer, how does that 24-year-old who's left college and trying to figure out how they're going to make money with a side hustle, or how does that person who decided to transition to being a content creator and they need to know how to make money with this, how's that person who decided, all right, I just retired earlier, I quit my job, or I got fired, and I'm going to finally start that online business. I'm finally going to start that t-shirt company that I always wanted, or I'm going to finally like throw my hat in the ring. I'm going to be a content creator. Or, oh, I'm going to be a video editor. How does that person learn how to market themselves and get an audience so they can get customers? How does that person sell their products? How do they sell their craft jewelry? Like, I focus on search a lot because that 24 to 44-year-old, for me, that I'm trying to reach, that I'm trying to help, is going to be looking for answers to their questions so that they can solve their problems. Now, if you're an entertainment channel, you have to go more topical, like I did with the TikTok video, like I did with the video on the Twitter hack. If you're going to be an entertainer, you have to figure out your market. And that means you have to appeal to people on the YouTube homepage who have no idea who you are, but care about that thing that's happening right now, or that thing that they're a part of in terms of a community. So you have to be able to reach that Harry Potter fan. You have to be able to reach that, you know, person who is buying a laptop. You have to reach that person without them knowing who you are or caring. And then in the video, you have to deliver for them in such a way that they would absolutely watch another video from you. And it may not have to be about that topic. That's the harder to do. Easier if you stick to a topic. So in the next slide, I'm going to make a point about that. YouTube shifted to an algorithm that has a lot to do with notifications, which a lot of you probably complain about. And so if you're worried about view to subscriber ratios when you're watching your YouTube channel, or when you look at another person's YouTube channel, you need to stop that obsession. If I could take that idea in the YouTube culture and if I could put it down like Old Yeller, I absolutely would, because view to subscriber ratio is the most trash metric it is because it ignores a fundamental factor. YouTube does not care if a viewer hit the subscribe button on a channel unless they turned on notifications. And even then, not all of the notifications will go through, and it won't always immediately happen. Notifications are staggered, and it will not necessarily help you. So you have to appeal to that unique YouTube homepage for your ideal viewer. You have to get in the head, the psychology, the head of the viewer that you want. You have to create a viewer persona, a viewer avatar, and say, I want to reach that 17-year-old kid that is obsessed with TikTok compilations or Fortnite. And they have to be able to click on a video they see, whether they know me or not, because they're obsessed with Fortnite, not because they care about me. You have to be able to do that. Now, in terms of a personality-driven channel, caring about you is what will make them subscribe, will make them become part of your notification squad and will give you a little bit of an advantage in that early view velocity that you need in terms of a high click-through rate. All right. So this is a super important number. Whatever your notification squad is, that's typically the upper limit of your videos for the most part, at least initially. Initially, this sometimes, if you're trying to make videos for the audience you already have, this is about as good as it gets. And that assumes that the notifications go out. I want to make that very clear. And so if you rely too much on this, that's what's going to feel like you can't break through in YouTube. So next slide. I'll make this point even clearer. Regardless of how anything performs, always look at watch time from subscribers. If you click on the see more thing, you'll be able to see the views and not just the watch time. And a lot of you are going to find that, yeah, you're right. All those subscribers I worked so hard to get so I could unlock all these features, they're not even getting the videos because my views are coming from new people that are finding me, and they're probably finding you from the homepage. And you can see all of that in your YouTube traffic and analytics. So let's go to the next slides real quick because I want to power through this, talk a little bit about YouTube monetization, and then I want to take all your questions. So like I said, only the top 3% of channels do over 1 million views per month. That's from a Bloomberg article from a case study done in Germany. That's not my data. I got similar data from my partners at TubeBuddy. We've been doing a data case study on 3 million channels, 20 million public videos, and our data suggests that it might actually be even more extreme than that. It's more of a 0.1%er thing. Okay. Next slide says that in 2016, the bottom 85% of new YouTube channels only ever achieved a maximum of 558 views per month. That's harsh. I think we can all agree YouTube got more competitive since 2016. But it's not all bad news. I want to show you guys a little interesting trick. Remember at the beginning of our presentation, I talked about the fact the average YouTuber gets $2 to $5 CPM rates. Well, as you can see from this slide and from the next slide, I have the ability to get very high CPM rates. And now YouTube is showing us the RPM, the revenue per, which shows how much we actually take home. So next slide real quick. So on about 300,000 views, I did close to $3,000 in the last 28 days. So in the last 30 days, about $3,000 on 300,000 views with a revenue per thousand of $8.68. What I did was this, and this is what I tend to do. I know what the guardrails are for not being demonetized, and I play by those rules. But also, I analyze in my YouTube channel which topics earn me the most money. And if that's something that I care about, I make more videos that are in line with that goal of earning more income, not based on how many views they can get, but how much those views are worth. Because I don't know if a lot of you realize this, not every view on YouTube is worth the same amount of money. This is not like a traditional job where, oh, we all do the same work, we all make the same money. That doesn't even actually happen in the real world. A lot of people are finding that out, that, oh, somebody's making more money than me. I wonder why. We do the same job. So with advertising, your niche, the industry, the market, there are a lot of things, the country that your viewers are in, that determine your CPM rates. I've made dedicated videos about every single one of these topics that you can watch if you're serious about YouTube. But I will tell you that there are niches in YouTube that make a lot more money than other niches. The e-commerce space, Shopify tutorials, software tutorials, tech content, a lot of this makes infinitely more money than YouTube gaming, and then pranks, story times, vlogs. Those don't make nearly as much money as some other things that get $20, $30, and $50 CPMs. And I'm not telling you should only make those videos and that you should chase money. I'm telling you that realistically, when you see how to make money on YouTube videos, or you see those my first YouTube paycheck videos, take it with a grain of salt and know what niche that person's in and what niche you're in, and realize that you may not make that same kind of money. So let's go and wrap this up. We only have literally like 2 more slides. Just a funny joke from the man, Timbaland. I'd rather be paid than popular. So wrapping this up, we have my hacks. Make content you respect, measure meaningful data, drive traffic to high-paying videos, build a consistent traffic source. Don't ignore things like search. Prioritize high click-through rate and average view duration. Create loyalty patterns for your viewers by putting them first, and be consistent in your upload schedule. That can bypass the algorithm. If people know when to show up for you, they will. Concentrate on good viewer experiences. Niche down to related topics if possible. My personality, like, I like doing too many things, and I think they're related. Other people don't. I believe they all work together. So I can't niche down as much as other people can. And create the highest quality video you are capable of creating with what you have where you are right now. Do not chase the Casey Neistats and MrBeast of the world if you don't have the ability to rock with that lifestyle. Don't set those expectations on yourself. So that's it for the presentation. All my contact information is here in the last slide. I want to thank the VidCon team for having me and for putting this all together. I really appreciate it. You guys can find me at youtube.com/Roberto Blake 2, just like the number 2. You could also visit me at robertoblake.com, and I'm at Roberto Blake in all social media. I've got time for Q&A. I know that we're running a little behind, but I've got up to 10, 15 minutes for you guys for Q&A. So this one's from Kimberly Hatch Harrison. Hi, Roberto. Do you have any advice for renewing interest in older videos that are on evergreen topics? New thumbnail, new title. Great question. I think that what is more practical is to revisit that topic and reference your old video and create a watch loop, meaning you make a new video about that same evergreen topic and you talk about whether or not what you said back then holds up today. And you can even tell people that they can watch the 2 videos and compare them. And that would actually create a watch loop, because you have people watching 2 videos instead of 1 video that are interested in that topic. You also should link them to a playlist that goes maybe 3 or 5 videos deep on that same topic. Great question. I love that question. Very practical. But yeah, I always think that putting effort into a new video is better than trying to revive an old one. But I think you can make use of an old video by referencing it. And you can also, if you put the link to that video in your description and you share those videos, the new one and the old one, in the same playlist, it has a chance of reaching the type of people that were identified as having liked that video in the past. Fantastic question.
Hello. So my name's Trinity, and
Hi, Trinity.
I'm a college student, and I'm working on launching a YouTube channel. I've been working, perfecting what I want to do and everything for a couple of years now. But do you have any advice for juggling college and YouTube?
Make it right size in your life. Think about, did you ever play sports in school?
Yes.
Okay. How did you make sports fit when you were a student?
Time management.
So it's the same thing with YouTube, right? You got to have the same discipline. You have the discipline of an athlete. You can apply that to your YouTube channel. Measure your days, audit your time, look at where you're spending time, spend less time on your phone. How much YouTube do you watch in a day?
Oof. Probably 4 to 5 hours.
Don't lie to me. Guess what? I'm rationing your YouTube time. You're down to an hour. You have to pick the content creators that you want to watch. You only get an hour a day, and I'll let you have 2 hours on the weekend. I'm not even joking with you right now. I'm serious. So for real, because guess what I just did? I just freed up 3 hours every single day for you to be a content creator Monday through Friday. So I just freed up 15 hours of your life to make the best video you're capable of. If you can only put out 1 video a week or 2 videos a week or whatever it is that you need to be consistent, you just got 15 hours back of your Monday through Friday, and you probably watch 6 hours on the weekend. So cutting it down to 2 is going to be significant. So that's the truth. That's the truth is if YouTube's going to be a priority and you're serious, you got to take it just like you don't skip training days when you're an athlete. You don't, a day when you're resting, you're still thinking about the game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I love these questions. D Park says, do you recommend utilizing all social media platforms, Reddit, to build your YouTube CTR? Great question. It can certainly help initially to drive traffic to the platform, which is also a great signal boost to YouTube. The downside is that those people coming from another platform, the average view duration that they provide, if you aren't killing it in the first 60 seconds, those are the hardest people to win over because you interrupted what they were already doing. So just keep that in mind that yes, you can help CTR, but you have to plan for it for retention and average view duration as well. Great question though. I love it. And a lot of people blow up because of Reddit and things like that. So this is from Faye. How does creating a table of contents in the description that allows you to click ahead affect video performance? So for one thing, people sometimes use it to go back to a part that was really funny or meaningful, whether it's entertaining or education. For education or top 10 list, it actually is really helpful because people can go back to their favorite parts. It helps for replay value of a video tremendously, but also it's one more thing that shows effort on the part of the content creator, and anything that shows effort on the part of the content creator, audiences tend to respect. So anything you can do for your viewers, especially if the video is longer. If it's a short video, If it's a short video, But if it's anything that I would say is like over 7 or 8 minutes, I think it's worth it to add chapters. You just don't have to abuse it or do a lot of it. But I think that if people understand what to expect or what the point of each 90 seconds or 2 minutes is, that they tend to appreciate that. Great question. I love that. I love feature questions. Top tier YouTube tip, hydrate. Hydrate. Get yourself a nice flask that keeps everything cold. Hydrate. Sophia asks, for new YouTubers with a lifestyle channel, which crosses multiple niches, how long would you recommend making videos across multiple niches before deciding where to double down? Great question. So for lifestyle channels, you don't have to niche down at a topic level. You have to niche down more to a collective group identity level. So if I was a lifestyle channel and I was a college student, I would focus on the college experience, and I would be niching down not on the topic of college, but on the lifestyle of what someone my age cares about. And what I would do is I'd make sure that every topic and title of a video is a banger to where someone my age would care about enough to click if there's someone my age. So I would go again to psychology. Niching is a variety of not just the topic, but really thinking about, well, who is that for? Okay. So a channel that could do multiple topics, for example, could be for someone who is a musician or audiophile, which would allow them to do headphones, microphones, amps, blah, blah, blah. And also videos or live streams where they make music or make beats or they rehearse or whatever, or if it's the lifestyle of going on tour. So whatever your lifestyle thing is, you have to figure out the identity of people in that lifestyle, and you have to make sure that the topics at least are relevant to people with that identity or that collective group or that label, if that makes sense. Great question though. I did a video specifically about finding your niche. It's probably the last video I uploaded because I had to take a couple of days off. But I think one of the last videos I uploaded on my channel is finding your niche and also competing in a saturated niche. I highly recommend that everybody watch that video, not just to bump my numbers, but because I answer the 5 biggest questions that people have about this exact same thing. Fantastic question. But I also just showed you how to set up the value proposition of a video for somebody when I said that, by the way. So I'm happy to take the next question if we've got that queued up. And I've got room for a few more. By the way, I won't be in right away, but probably later this evening and definitely tomorrow, I'm going to hang out in the Discord groups for VidCon and also the Discord group around this particular topic. And so thank you to the VidCon team for setting that up. And thank you to everybody who's participating and to everybody who asked a question. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate these. And again, I try to make this as practical as possible for those of you who have to be a student, you're a stay-at-home parent, you're working a 9-to-5 job. Like, not everybody can put 50 hours a week into this. And I get that. I really do. So Random Fandom says, so is it better to create shorter videos instead of longer videos in general? What would you think is the ideal video length? So great question. There is no such thing as the ideal video length because every niche is different and every type of viewer is different. I think I've made a video about this, but I probably will make a new one because that question comes up. And I think I can tie it to the new monetization stuff that happened for 8-minute videos. But there is no ideal video length itself. It's specific to the type of viewer that you want. And by the way, the majority of people sat through Avengers Endgame for 3 hours and avoided bathroom breaks. I think that that proves that the length of something doesn't matter if it's good enough to keep us active and interested. So I would focus more on making every minute worth their time instead of how many minutes to make something. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you, Celine. Thank you, everybody, for the wonderful questions. And yeah, go out there and create something awesome today. And like I said, you can find me at Roberto Blake on all social media. Happy to continue talking to you guys. Happy to join the Discord. And then also, of course, you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/RobertoBlake2, the number 2. And you can find me at robertoblake.com. All right, you guys, take care. I'll catch you next time.